This week, I ruffled some feathers on Twitter when I made a statement that this, the MG4 X-Power, well, it made a mockery of the likes of the Cupra Born and the SAF 500e. And whilst I probably was exaggerating a little bit, just to poke the bear, because let's face it, that's exactly what Twitter is for, I do stand by my statement. I think that MG have been seriously brave with this model. And I think that's exactly what other car brands should be doing. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video, I'm going to be taking an in-depth look at the MG4 X-Power, a car which has a whopping 430 brake horsepower, all-wheel drive, a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds, and the ability to beat an Audi e-tron GT which costs over double the price in a drag race. This really is making an embarrassment of other car brands which are currently releasing performance EVs. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to the channel. So is the MG4 perfect? Well no, but is anything perfect? In today's video, I'm going to tell you everything I love and everything that I don't love about the MG4 X-Power. And ultimately, I'm going to tell you if it's worth spending your money. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you do like new car reviews and car content, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'm also going to be telling you about a device which could help you not lose your license to a speed camera in a car this fast. Let's start with something which, amongst many other things, divides a lot of people, and that's the design. Personally, I think this looks absolutely amazing. I think that they've got the design spot on. But many other people, including a lot of my friends and family, really don't like this car. They think that it actually looks hideous. That word's been used a few times. And maybe, just maybe, that comes down to a tiny bit of brand snobbery.
I beg your pardon. How very dare.
Some people just physically cannot say that they like an MG without bursting into flames. But I think it looks great. And this is my favourite specification. The matte green paintwork, the contrasting black gloss bumper, and the orange brake calipers, which we will discuss a little bit further down the line. But this to me looks brilliant. I love the LED headlamps, the way that you've got the crystals, and that light bar on the back in the dark looks great. You've got the crisscrossing of the red elements. It really looks very, very sharp. And that is something I think is a running trend with the MG4. It does look super sharp. I do think that just by adding the elements, the orange brakes and this paintwork is enough to stand this out from the rest of the MG4 range, because there isn't a huge amount of difference. But I don't think that was really necessary when they already had such a fantastic looking EV. I'm really proud to say that this section of the video is sponsored by the SAF Pro. The SAF Pro is a device which connects to your mobile phone via Bluetooth and an app. This together will use your GPS from your mobile phone to make sure that you never miss a speed camera.
The device sits neatly on your dash and displays both your live speed and current limit. It will warn you if you exceed the limit and also sound an alarm when there's an up and coming speed camera. The device does not need to be plugged in and the battery will last weeks. Its petite size means it's easily transferred between vehicles. Perfect for me.
So if you wanted to start avoiding those expensive speeding fines, then why don't you go ahead and purchase your own SAF via the link down below. I did really cause quite a stir with some of my wording when it comes to this car. So on Twitter I said that this car makes a mockery of the likes of the Cupra Born and the SAF 500e. But when it comes to straight line power, I do think the MG4X is exactly what Cupra and SAF should have done. Let's face it, they've always been the performance variants of their brands. And to have an offering which is, in my eyes, just lukewarm, it's just a bit boring. And when we're in such an important time when it comes to changing people's opinions on EVs, I feel like you need something like this MG4, which is so spicy, with that really, really quick 0 to 62 time and that seriously impressive performance, to be able to change people's opinions and to make them take a chance when it comes to an EV. But let's talk about perhaps the ways that I wasn't quite correct in what I was saying. And that is the fact that though this car is really quick in its straight line power, maybe MG don't quite live up to the competition when it comes to other areas, and that includes its handling. I haven't really had too many problems. In fact, I've found it to be quite impressive in its handling, but I have had some good weather. So whether when you get some bad weather and then you're pushing it hard, it can't quite keep up, I'm not too sure. The steering could probably be a little bit heavier weighted. It does feel like it's set up for a city setup, rather than on these back roads it starts to feel a little bit vague. But most of the time, it goes exactly where I'm pointing it. I haven't had any problems with it veering off in any directions. I found it sharp enough, but maybe I would need to drive it back to back with a Born to realise whether this car doesn't quite live up to that car when it comes to its handling. And then there's some small other areas where the MG4 doesn't quite live up to the other brands like the Born, and that's going to be reliability. A lot of MG4 owners have said that they have had issues with both the standard long range and standard range versions of the MG4 and the X-Power, which has meant it has lost a little bit of their confidence in the brand. And maybe MG have run a little bit before they could walk. But do you know what? I applaud the brand for being brave enough to take those chances, to be told by other people that, oh, you don't need it to be that fast. Yeah, you don't need it to be that fast, but you know what? I think it's a hell of a lot of fun. And when you can adapt this car's personality so well by using the different driving modes, let's face it, if I pop it into Eco, then I get some really, really good range from this vehicle. It's very, very similar to the other models. Okay, it's a bit heavier, so it's not going to be quite as impressive, but I've been getting on standard kind of 4 miles per kilowatt hour, and I think that's quite impressive. That's better than some other vehicles which I've tested which aren't performance variants. When you are putting your foot down, that's going to drop to around 3.3. I still don't think that this is too bad that you wouldn't be able to live with this car. And then there's of course the trump card of this, and that is the price tag. £37,000 for a car which is this impressive. I just don't think it can be beaten. At first glance, the orange brake calipers on the X-Power look really impressive. But then as you get a little bit closer, you realise they're actually just a cover. Now these covers do have their benefits. It means that they're easier to clean and they don't go rusty. But the problem is that though the brakes have had small amounts of upgrades, they're not quite as much as these covers would lead you to believe. When I previously reviewed the standard MG4, I was really impressed with the range and what you got for value for money, but I was a little bit disappointed with the interior. It didn't feel the best quality, and it also didn't feel that well in its fit and finish. But I'm really pleased to say that not only does the X-Power get that added power, it also gets some higher quality interior, which I think stand it aside from the rest of its competition. You've got a nice leather effect steering wheel, which is flat bottom, and you do have a little bit of gloss black which runs down the centre. It makes it feel a bit sporty. You also get these leather effect trimmed seats. They're slightly better in their bolstering. They do not hold you in the corners in any way, shape or form, and I'd still like them to be a bit better, but they are far better in quality than the standard car. You also get bits of red stitching around the outside of them as well, which does add to its sportiness. You also get this leather effect trimmed armrest, which still has a standard amount of storage inside it. There's loads of space up here as well. None of this has changed, but that's not a bad thing. You've got 2 cup holders and you've got an additional amount of sliding storage here. You've also got a large amount of space between you and the passenger where you could pop extra items if you wanted to. Now, I don't particularly like where the USB and USB-C chargers are located because they're right under this centre console part and they're hard to see. And here's another one of my niggling issues with this car. If you connect your mobile phone using the USB-C charging, then you can't activate your Apple CarPlay, which I find a little bit annoying. You have to attach it with a USB cable to use your CarPlay. For me, I find that irritating because I only ever carry USB-C chargers, but it's good to know if you are going for one of these cars. You do also get some wireless charging, which is really handy, and it gets Bluetooth, but as far as I can see, you can't use the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto just using the Bluetooth, so you will need a USB to connect it first time. This car is also set up like a lot of EVs where the car is always running until you get out and lock it. Whilst I don't see this as too much of an issue, and it does mean that the car is ready to go at all times, I find it a little bit annoying that, especially if I've got my music up loud, that as soon as I open the door it doesn't turn off. I have to get out of my car and lock it, and then finally the car will turn itself off. I'd really like if there was still a start-stop button somewhere where I could manually override that. The same as the MG4 as well. I don't particularly like these steering wheel buttons which aren't labelled, so it's a little bit difficult to learn which ones to use when you first get in the car. But in terms of equipment, it's fantastic. As I mentioned, you've got that wireless charging, you've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, automatic lights, automatic rain sensing wipers, you've also got adaptive cruise control, lane assist, you've got blind spot sensors. There's not much that you don't have that you would want in this car. The one thing I will say that I feel like I really want is some ambient lighting, because when you're driving this car at night, it's very dark. So the MG4 X-Power is not perfect, but I have to applaud the brand for being so brave and releasing such an exciting electric car. This has got a ton of looks, whether that's for a good thing or a bad thing. But what I do know is it gets people talking. But let me know, would you go for the MG4 X-Power, or would you still opt for the Cupra Born or something like the Abarth 500e? Let me know which, and let me know why in the comments down below. If you did want to purchase your own SAF Pro, then you can do that by following the link down below and start avoiding those speeding fines. I really hope you've enjoyed the video today, guys. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Want to see more? Then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Until next time, see you later.